604, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you, JP producing. Starting you off at 68 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge on our way to, where were we headed? 90? All right. Will the government shut down at midnight tonight? Well, I guess for this audience, will the government shut down at 11 p.m. because it's midnight Eastern time? That is the looming question of the day. That will be an ongoing topic throughout the day. We'll get to it in just a little bit, and I'll give you the full rundown in just a little bit as well. Right now, though, we start off with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Starts us off in Ascension Parish, where state police are investigating a fatal shooting involving a state trooper that happened early this morning in Gonzales. Around 2 a.m., State Police Force Investigation Unit detectives began investigating this shooting. According to that was a wasted sentence. According to LSP, a trooper initiated a traffic stop at the corner of Highway 431 and Highway 935. During said traffic stop, the trooper discharged his service weapon, resulting in one person being taken to the hospital before later being pronounced dead. The trooper was uninjured. Ascension Parish deputies were called to the scene as well as they rerouted traffic along 431 Stringer Bridge northbound to Cannon Road and Bayou Narcisse at 431. They were all closed in the wee hours of the morning this morning. So as the sun comes up and the day gets started, the areas affected by the road closures was Santa Maria High, whose entrance on 431 was blocked, but I believe that's all clear now.
Number 4.
Oh, no, you know what? It's not all clear yet because school officials have said that any late arrivals to Santa Maria this morning would be excused and not tardy. All right, number 4, detectives arrested a man connected to a stolen Heartland Express cargo trailer containing $60,000 worth of products from a Pepsi warehouse. The trailer, stolen earlier this month, was found abandoned with all of the product inside missing. According to a Facebook post by the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, the detectives traced a tractor they suspect was used in hauling the trailer to an address belonging to 53-year-old Daryl Cager in East Baton Rouge. Cager, who claimed to have no knowledge of the theft, was taken into custody on Monday.
Number 3.
City parish employees and retirees will need to opt in to new medical insurance after the Metro Council voted to switch their plans at a special meeting, a move that some council members believe will save the municipality more than $16 million. The council voted 11-1 on the measure. The one, it was Daryl Hurst.
Number 2.
I can't wait to hear him talk about that. Yeah, you got it solved. Governor Jeff Landry submitted a request to the U.S. Department of War on Monday night for 1,000 Louisiana National Guardsmen to deploy across the state and address, quote, ongoing public safety concerns regarding high crime rates throughout the state. In his letter to U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Landry mentioned Shreveport, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge as cities with elevated violent crime rates, coupled with critical personnel shortages within local law enforcement.
Number 1.
LSU ranks number 179 in Wall Street Journal's 2026 Best Colleges in the U.S. rankings. That's up 9 spots from where the university ranked last year.
Well, we have until midnight Eastern time for Congress to reach a deal before the federal government shuts down.
Should we open up a pool? What time's it getting done? Or do you think it shuts down?
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see it. You think we're going to see it?
Not really.
Or is this just, is it all
Here's
hype?
the thing, and we're going to talk with Congressman Carter at 8:35 this morning about this.
Yeah.
Because he's in the nay column. He's in the, it's reprehensible to shut the government down, but we have to because of what's being offered. And we're going to hear at 6:25 some audio from Steve Scalise and Mike Johnson. By the way, calls are into both of their offices as well. Yeah,
Okay.
neither one's gonna be able to come on today, but before the week's out. Nope. Wait, let me rephrase that. Mike Johnson's not this week at all. Unless I want to do pre-recorded, and I kind of want to do live with him. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, that's all backstory and programming for a later date.
No,
But I want to hear from Congressman Carter about like how far off or what he thinks Well, and I don't want to talk to him about what Democrats want versus what Republicans want because we already know. We already know. What I want to hear from him is inside his gut.
Yeah.
Does he believe that there will be movement by either side? So that's not till 8:35.
Right.
But in the meanwhile, post up on Facebook Live. Do you think the government shuts down? It's just yes or no. Do you think they shut it down?
Yeah. Run a poll there.
Here's the thing, though. They can't, man. They can't. Donald Trump will destroy everything that they hold dear. Every level of bureaucracy, wipe it clean. You want some good office equipment? Go on eBay at 12:01 a.m.
Oh.
It's seriously, they
Yeah.
you can't call a bluff if the person's not bluffing.
Guess time will tell. Is Paul Feinbaum going to run for Senate?
Oh, God, I hope so.
If Tommy Tuberville wins
Hey, Paul.
Oh, man, gubernatorial race, it's been rumored that Feinbaum becomes the front runner.
Oh, God. This world.
I'm telling you.
This
I'm
world.
telling you. Man.
Paul.
Oh,
when Tommy Tuberville got elected to Senate, and there's nothing wrong with moving from the world of sports to moving to the world of politics.
We see it, right?
You know, because there are similar qualities there. Okay, what we're experiencing right now in Baton Rouge, we have a football coach as our leader. We have a football coach as our mayor president, and there are leadership traits that do qualify, especially for an executive position like mayor president. They also those leadership traits, they transfer over to the legislative world when it comes to teamwork, when it comes to being able to fill a role, when it comes to those things, they translate. If you are a caller-driven radio host who just likes to bitch about like everything going wrong, how is that?
Oh, man. This is good stuff.
I don't know. They had a professional wrestler was the governor of Minnesota.
I mean,
we've had more members of the cast of Predator have had gubernatorial posts around the country. So who the hell knows?
Yeah. Oh, man. And speaking of entertainment, movies, President Donald Trump says he will slap a 100% tax on movies made outside the U.S., a vague directive aimed at protecting a business that America already dominates.
Yeah.
So,
but when we talked with Jason Wagensback about this from Film Louisiana not long ago, that was part of the deal, was things can be made cheaper elsewhere. So if movies can be made cheaper in other countries and then you make it more expensive to distribute in America, and those those domestic movies that are exported to be made elsewhere, when they try to re-import them back in, man, this is one area where it's not like a traditional tariff.
right.
And he's going to have to get into the nitty-gritty on this one because there's room for this to like make American actors great again. I don't know. I'm not wholly against it.
Yeah, he says on Truth Social, our movie-making business has been stolen from the United States of America by the other countries, just like stealing candy from a baby.
There's a phrase I'd like to just remove from our lexicon. It's 6:13, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hey, before we hit our first break, I want to remind you about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is their home base online. Going to remind you all football season long, all the way until after the Oklahoma game is over with. The Baton Rouge Metro Airport has built out, or has had built out, direct flights to LSU games, specifically Vandy, Alabama, and Oklahoma. There are direct flights built specifically for getting to and from Nashville, Birmingham, and Oklahoma City. And they'll get you there a heck of a lot faster than the run game will. Oh, I probably should include that line. By the way, that's not all. If you got friends coming in for other games, for example, South Carolina coming up right after the bye week, they've got you covered on that front too. So direct flights to the away games, direct flights in for the home games, they've got you covered. FlyBTR.com. does it now? Challenge him to what? Game of Hungry Hungry Hippos? Yeah. Rolling over to 618 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Got a little Saints news in sports this morning, as it's looking like the Saints, who have been riddled with injuries to start off the year, could be on the mend just a little bit. Taysom Hill cleared to return to Saints practice. Head coach Kellen Moore said it's going to take some time for Hill to get fully healthy, but the team's excited to bring him back.
Taysom's obviously a tremendous football player. He does a lot of different things. He's got a unique skill set that is tough to replicate and match in this league, and so we'll just see how it all progresses. But he's obviously had such an impact on this organization for such a long time, and whenever that time comes that he's back on the field, we'll be fired up.
Also cleared to practice again, former LSU tight end, former Raider, New Orleans Saints tight end Foster Moreau is back, or is cleared to return to practice. So don't know if they will be out there against the Giants this week. They don't practice, actually, Moreau and Hill until Wednesday, but it is worth keeping an eye on to see the Saints on the mend a little bit. Now, flip side of that is guard Cesar Ruiz sidelined for the Giants game, possibly longer. I don't even know if that's bad news. Ruiz is not good. The one name I'm keeping an eye on to get back from injury, though, is Chase Young. He has been out since the beginning of the season, but he's been like day-to-day for a month now. So keeping an eye on the Saints injury report every single day, if for no other reason than this coming weekend and the following are the Saints' best chances to get wins. I don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to, at all this year. The Giants have one win on the season, and they lost Malik Neighbors, their best wide receiver. We all know Malik Neighbors. They lost Malik Neighbors last week to a torn ACL. And then New England's the week after that, also not a very great ball club. So the healthier the Saints can get for this week, the better. It's 6:20. Here's the Fox Business Report. Crouere. Hello? Do what? Well, I'm on the air in like a minute. I'll call you after the show. All right, we'll talk. Bye. Really, the only thing to look out for this morning is 12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. Volume's heavy, actually heavier than normal for this time around Denham Springs before and after the Range Avenue exit. It clears up a little bit around the river, then picks up again after the O'Neill Lane, after the O'Neill Lane on-ramp, basically all the way through Airline. Well, really, the volume continues all the way through the 10-12 merge. Meanwhile, 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looks good. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge is good as well, and so is 110. Surface streets, there are no accidents reported this time. That's really good traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. Take 8 clicks to delete an event. Talk 107.3 and Duplessis Pool Builders are giving away a dream pool. Every $25 donation supports dreams come true, granting wishes for Louisiana kids with life-threatening illnesses, and gets you entered to win. Donate $100, you get 5 entries. Enter today at talk1073.com. So midnight tonight, that's what we're looking at, right? Midnight tonight is what we're looking at for a potential, 11 p.m. tonight is what we're looking at for the potential government shutdown. And whether or not a deal gets hammered out or not, that's the question that no one can seem to answer. There's a big meeting yesterday. Donald Trump met with the leadership from both sides on both the House and Senate side. Neither one could fully promise on their way out of that meeting whether or not they had the votes behind them to sign off on any kind of potential compromise package to go in. Today, if I'm not mistaken, ABC News can have this at the bottom of the hour. Today, if I'm not mistaken, the president will meet with Chuck Schumer, John Thune. I'm sorry, this is no, that was from yesterday. Okay, sorry, that was yesterday's meeting. Let's rewind the clock back to Sunday. Steve Scalise was on ABC News this week. Now, this is before yesterday's meetings, mind you. You got Scalise's? Give me one quick second. Oh, no. All right. My apologies, y'all. Give me one quick second. I was having network issues this morning. And we're going to try this one more time. Dadgummit. Let's see if it's sent that time. You got it? Okay, cool. Before these meetings, before yesterday's meetings, Steve Scalise was on ABC's This Week, and he had nothing but positivity. Well, I shouldn't say nothing but he was quite hopeful for the potential outcome on the back end based off of what Republicans were currently offering. Yes, Scalise? Okay, go.
This is a short-term funding bill that goes till November 21st, allows for government, troops to be paid, all of the other things that Hakeem and everybody says they don't want, yet they voted to shut the government down. Let's have the Senate go do the right thing and pass that bill that's sitting over there waiting.
The short-term funding into this, I really don't like. I hate that. Because if you think about it, everyone's held hostage right now. Everyone who is reliant upon the federal government to stay open, right, is being held hostage right now because they can't come to an agreement. And if you're going to come to an agreement that barely doesn't even last 2 months, what's the purpose in that? So we can all go through this useless exercise 2 months from now? So moving over to Speaker Johnson, and this is going to peel back a layer or two of the onion as to why compromise probably isn't in the cards, at least the way things are being presented right now. Speaker Johnson talked more about what's being requested from the other side.
You should go take a look at what they requested. $1.5 trillion in new spending that is unrelated to the ongoing appropriations process.
I'm sorry, did he say $1.5 trillion in new spending? I'm sorry, but that does not feel reasonable to me. Now, if it's actually new spending, that's not reasonable. If it's spending that has existed that maybe got cut along the way that they want to reinstate, that might be a little bit of a different story. I want to know where those dollars are coming from. Like, is this, let's just say, Doge cuts that they feel need to go back in? Because it's both new and it's not new, right? It's new because it doesn't currently exist, but it's not new because it did exist. $1.5 trillion. To ask that when your party is not in control, that's digging your heels in on a complete non-starter. You've got to know going in that that's not going to play the way you think it's going to play. $1.5 trillion when the country doesn't have an appetite for it, when the country went to the polls and voted in the opposite direction for that. 11 p.m. tonight. That's what we're looking for. So over on Facebook Live, asked you if you think the government will shut down or not. Let's keep that question going throughout the morning this morning. I just generally want your feedback. Do you think the government will shut down by 11 p.m. tonight? Just let us know, yes or no. I'm looking at some of the comments. It's got half a dozen so far in there, and it's split 50-50. Here comes news on Talk 107.3 FM. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, boo. Yeah. After starting off the fantasy football season 4-0, I lose Malik Neighbors and Tyreek Hill in the same freaking week. Yeah. Awesome. I hate fantasy football. 637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Every Tuesday, we catch up on what's going on down in New Orleans with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. He's on right now. How are you, man?
Hey, Brian. Good morning.
Good morning. Early voting is open. Has the vibe changed any?
I moderated a forum last night and talked to several of the candidates. And, I think it's pretty much the same that we talked about last week. I mean, there's a real push to try to, go after Helena Moreno, the leader, who's way ahead in the polls. She's got right about the 50% mark. And the question is, will they be able to get her into a runoff? And if so, which of the two, the outside candidate is the Republican Frank Janusa, will be able to get into a runoff with her. So that pretty much remains the dynamic right now. All the debates are pretty much over as far as, televised debates. And from watching a number of them, Helena Moreno is a former TV broadcaster. She's polished.
Yeah.
I don't think they were able to really dent her lead. So that's what we look at now here in the final days before the election.
Well, and she was also a former state representative. If I'm not, it was state senator or state representative, state rep. Yeah.
Right. So she went from the news to running for legislature, getting elected. She ran for Congress and lost. Then she got into the council, and now she's council at large. So, yeah, I mean, she's been around for a while, and she is very comfortable on TV and very polished. And, I think it's going to be interesting to see if she can get to that 50% level, which would be unprecedented in an open race like this, where there's no incumbent.
But even if Janusa can force a runoff, is there any want to get behind him by the other Democrats that are in the race? Or is this just, because I'd hate to see it just be fait accompli before the primary, if all of Royce Duplessis and Oliver Thomas's support, if that is all going to push to Moreno after the primary anyway, then, what's the use in punching?
Right. I mean, Janusa was officially endorsed by the Louisiana Republican Party yesterday, and I'm thinking, well, what took him so long? I mean, we're just right before the election. He could have used that endorsement and that support months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the victory would be, just getting a Republican into a runoff. I mean, forcing the leading candidate into a runoff, and then having the ideas, addressed during the runoff. It would be, something for the future where maybe the Republicans can build on that. There are no Republican elected officials in Orleans Parish. There's zero.
Right.
Last mayor was elected in 1872, last Republican mayor. So when people say, well, look, Baton Rouge elected a Republican, I'm like, New Orleans is much different. There's, not a Republican that was elected 20 years ago. It's been, 150 years. 153
literally
years.
since Reconstruction. That's the last Republican was
Right.
Reconstruction. So, I know it's not the same as Baton Rouge, but being here in Baton Rouge, we just went through a mayoral race where you had a Democrat that was not very popular. You had a more moderate Democrat that a lot of people thought would be, like, quote unquote, the safe choice. Like, let's move slightly over on the political spectrum. And then you had Mayor Edwards, who was in there, who had never run for anything before in his life. He is a lifelong high school football coach and basketball coach. Like, he's very, very well known. Everybody knows and loves Coach. But, like, this is not this before last year, this was not his world, like, at all. So we're sitting over here in Baton Rouge thinking, hey, look, sometimes lightning can strike twice.
And he was a unique case in that he was beloved as a coach, and he had coached so many people in the community, and people knew him and respected him. So he came into the race with, a lot of support from people in the community.
Yeah.
The Republican up here, Frank, is a gentleman who was a CPA and not really high profile, and doesn't have that kind of support level because he wasn't in teaching and coaching. So he has a lot of challenges. He's 74 years old. I give him a lot of credit. I was talking to him last night. I think it's awesome that he's doing this, and he's putting himself out there and trying to mix things up. But we'll see if one of the African American political leaders, Oliver Thomas or Royce Duplessis, can get Helena Morena into a runoff. Then you have a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
Then you've got a whole different race. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's been the main issues are, of course, crime, which is always an issue. The budget problems. New Orleans has a $100 million budget deficit.
Right.
All the sewage and water board and infrastructure issues. The out-migration that New Orleans is facing. The city's number one in the country as far as out-migration per capita.
Yep.
And then, the corruption issues that were, brought to the forefront by, the outgoing mayor, who's been a disaster.
Which, as I understand it, putting restrictions on the mayoral office has become a growing issue, just because, say what you will, LaToya Cantrell setting precedent. That's if they're legitimately looking at putting more guardrails around the mayor's office, then it really brings to light just how out of the box she was.
Just for the personal relationship, the arrogance. She was a problem when she was a candidate. It was exposed, and I covered this extensively on my show. She was exposed for using, CD credit cards for her personal use. That should have been a massive issue for her trying to get elected mayor in the first place. And she was able to somehow overcome that and get herself elected. And then it's just been one disaster, after another. And, the fact that she'd be so arrogant to travel worldwide, and she was trying to get, go out of the country again, even after the indictment. And she finally withdrew those foreign travel plans. It's breathtaking, but we'll see where that goes as far as, the trial and everything with her. But good riddance to her. What a disaster.
No, absolutely. The swearing in can't come quick enough, regardless of who's elected. The swearing in can't get here fast enough. We're talking with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. Rough headlines over the weekend. Tragic story with a tourist who's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, ends up shot and killed. Look, Jeff, here in Baton Rouge, down in New Orleans, there's too many homicides for us to talk about each and every one of them. But when it's a tourist in New Orleans, man, that changes the game quickly.
Right, which is why the governor is talking about, having the National Guard come down here. And it just is a reminder to us that we can't keep patting ourselves on the back, that, we've solved the crime issue, or there's some kind of great reduction in crime. Yeah, there's been a reduction, but, there's still a massive problem. And we're now, ahead of 2019 rates as far as homicide. So it's not going to be the lowest murder rate in, a generation. It is going to be a reduction from last year. And of course, the chief and the team at the NOPD need to be credited, but we still have a major, major problem. Like on Sunday, you had two people shot and killed. One on Loyola, which is not far away from, that first block off of Canal.
Right.
So, that's a big problem. The French Quarters are bread and butter. That is the prime area as far as tourists and what attracts people to New Orleans. And the year started with a terror attack on Bourbon, where 14 people were killed, and now we're talking about another mass shooting where actually it was 4 people that were shot. 3 were injured.
Right. And
one was killed right there. So, again, it's an early morning situation, 2:22 in the morning. So that's, I think, leading the governor to say, hey, we need help. We need the National Guard down here. It's out of control. So we'll see what happens. The president seems to be eager to do this in areas, especially where he's invited.
Yeah, and he is definitely invited. I don't know, what LaToya's stance is down there, but who cares? She's on her way out, and she's been in charge of the problem for far too long. Anyway, one follow-up question on that I have not got an answer to yet. I asked Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Morse if he would be open to National Guard troops And his answer, if I could completely oversimplify it, was, yeah, I'm open to it, but I don't know what they could do because they wouldn't have arresting powers. Is there a workaround for that you know of? I mean, can they be like deputized as sheriff's deputies?
I don't know of that. I don't think so. I mean, I think it would be just a force multiplier. It would just be the extra presence.
Yeah.
I mean, it would help. I mean, I don't think I think the chief is right on that. I do know that our chief, Anchor Patrick, has said she would welcome it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unlike the political leaders down here, the chief said that, I mean, she wouldn't oppose it at all. So, I mean, she understands we have 900 police officers in a city where we need at least 1,400.
Right.
I mean, she understands how understaffed she is, and that's for all the credit that Chief gets for reducing the murder rate. I mean, she has not been successful in recruiting more officers. I mean, we have been stagnant at this level for a while, even though the pay, according to everyone that talks to me about it, is very competitive with all the surrounding parishes. So the pay is not the problem.
We've got about 1 minute left with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, and he's always generous with his time. In fact, he's got to be up on the air 11 minutes from right now. In this last minute, I got to ask you about something a lot more positive. Have you tried the new Ubix Cafe au lait pie yet?
No, I have not.
All right, so apparently it's got a limited run. Yesterday was National Coffee Day, and Ubix teamed up with French Truck. So for like the next 2 weeks or something, until October 10th, if you go by French Truck, you can get a special edition Ubix Cafe au lait flavor. Like they got some kind of coffee cream on the inside. It's like a traditional Ubix on the outside, but it's a coffee cream on the inside. I'm dying to find out if somebody's had one.
All right, well, I'll try to do that before next week so I can report back to you.
Awesome. We're looking for a full review.
That is something positive. That's definitely very positive. I like French Truck. I'm a big fan.
So, yeah, they're right at the street of government from us over here. So I'm hoping this is a really good collab that might lead to something long-term. In the meanwhile, you got to get yourself on air. We always appreciate the time. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Okay, Brian. Take care.
Yep, we'll talk to you next week. We're coming up on 6:50 at Talk 107.3 FM, which means we are going to check your money now. On the back end of your money now, you heard that story about the new bridge? We might be moving in the right direction. I'll be holding my breath. Here comes your money now on Talk 107.3. Hmm. What an absolute. I keep reading this story as the way WBRZ wrote it. Just an absolute waste of a sentence. Louisiana State Police were investigating a fatal shooting involving a state trooper that happened early Tuesday morning in Gonzales. That sentence is fine. Second sentence. Around 2 a.m., Louisiana State Police Force Investigation Unit detectives began investigating the shooting. That's a colossal waste of a sentence. If you just move the 2 a.m. into sentence number 1, you're done.
You got to get that word count.
Bro, I know.
You got to hit that word count.
Does the word count feed the algorithm, or do they just think it does? Talk 107.3, along with First American Bank and Trust, are teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. To donate to this important cause, visit our website at talk1073.com. Folds of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy. It's 6:56 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. ABC News coming your way in just a little bit. They'll have the latest on anything potential with a governmental shutdown. Although this meeting with military heads is intriguing, to say the least. Love to know more about that. So I'll be dialed in for sure. It's a good day to catch Brian Kilmeade. Absolutely. So you got me till 9. You got Moon 9 to 11. Kilmeade from 11 to 1 should be chock-a-block full of all of the latest. And by that time, we should pretty darn well know if the government's going to shut down or not. Like if there's any deals in the works, any twinkling in the eye, any offer to just move a little bit. If asking for $1.5 trillion gets knocked down to, I don't know, $500 billion. Anyway, Kilmeade 11 to 1. You heard the story in our news at the bottom of the hour from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. The Federal Highway Administration has given the state the green light to conduct an environmental assessment for a proposed new Mississippi River Bridge south of Baton Rouge. Louisiana Transportation Secretary Glenn Leday says the approval marks a significant step in advancing the projects, and it begins the formal process to ensure that the bridge is planned responsibly.
Impacts to social factors, economic factors, impacts to natural resources, historic preservation, and of course, what are the benefits with this associated project?
I've got a number of questions within that. They've already narrowed down to 3 potential sites for the bridge to be built. Wouldn't a lot of those factors have been settled, like environmental factors? I don't think the ground underneath, or the ground underneath it has changed any from the time those 3 potential sites were announced till now. Social factors, I don't think those have changed over the last 3 years. And historical factors have certainly not changed. So how quickly can we get this done? DOTD has already identified those 3 locations. To narrow this down, Leday says the environmental assessment will help engineers develop a more detailed road design, conceptual bridge designs, and cost estimates for the 3 alternatives.
We've got 3 alternative alignments for the roadway and bridge as it crosses the Mississippi River, and then, of course, ties into both LA1 as well as LA30 on both the east and west side of the river.
Again, I don't know how you get down to 3 without already making sure that the questions are already answered for that assessment. 2 community briefings have been scheduled in December in St. Gabriel and Plaquemine for larger. Yeah. For larger public meetings will follow early next year. Leday says the goal is for the environmental assessment to take a year to complete.
In September of 26, you could begin next steps in terms of implementation. So this is that first key major milestone that we needed to reach.
So if you start the next steps in September of 26, When do you actually start like turning dirt and pouring concrete? When do we see an actual bridge being built here? We got to a spot and then it became hurry up and wait. And the part that I'm worried about the most with this is when we get to that next spot, what kind of money will we have to dedicate to it? So hopefully we'll talk to Glenn Leday soon. We got ABC News coming your way right now. God, that was weird. I don't know how to describe it because it wasn't like, I mean, it hurt, but only for a quick second. It was like a pulse, like a pulse is probably a better word than thump.
Yeah.
But then why did I get hot and then dizzy? Yeah, like vision went away completely. Like I couldn't like read. Oh, I'm gonna walk around for a minute.
Yeah, man. Shoot.
All right. What you got? Yeah. I got you. Hey, come on with me tomorrow. All right. Bye. Okay, yes, I like the song, but no, that's not why we're letting it play. 705, rolling over to 706 at Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. My apologies for the... No, I'm not apologizing for letting everybody listen to Swedish House Mafia. No, you know how one of the rules around here,
Right.
is if I speak ill of DOTD, I'm going to get put right back in my place.
That's right.
No, was getting a little clarification from Rodney Mallett about the topic we were just covering. And I'm glad he called because it opens up for us to talk about it a lot more tomorrow. Because we were on the path to be in the fast lane to get a new bridge. And about 3 years ago, roughly, it dried up. Or it slowed down, let's put it that way. And where we are now is that hurry up and wait phase that we're going to have to go through in order to get federal funding for it. So this is going to be a topic tomorrow for sure. Rodney Mallett from DOTD is always generous with his time and will join us. I'm going to put a time on that for tomorrow because I don't have my calendar in front of me. All right, we're starting off the hour 2 at 68 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. This hour, we have got Donnie Miller from the Ascension Parish Chamber. We've got Devin Hartman from the R Street Institute. Want to talk about all the AI data centers that are popping up? How are we going to power these bad boys? Who foots that bill? Who generates it? Big conversation to be had. We'll talk with him at 7:35. Right now, though, top stories and trending.
Number 5.
In the wee hours of the morning, trooper initiated a traffic stop at the corner of Highway 431 and Highway 935 out near Gonzales. During that traffic stop, the trooper discharged his service weapon, resulting in one person being taken to the hospital before they were later pronounced dead. The trooper was uninjured. Ascension Parish deputies were also called to the scene to help reroute traffic, and in fact, that traffic is affecting the letting in, if you will, of Santa Maria High this morning. All buses, students, parents, and staff will be directed to enter campus from Church Point Road. School district officials said bus pickup times might be delayed. There will be excused absences. There will be no tardies because of this. But state police are nonetheless investigating a fatal shooting involving a trooper that happened overnight last night.
Number 4.
Detectives arrested a man connected to a stolen Heartland Express cargo trailer containing $60,000 worth of products from a Pepsi warehouse. The trailer, stolen earlier this month, was found abandoned with all of the product inside missing. This according to a Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office Facebook post. Detectives traced a tractor they suspected was used in hauling the trailer to an address belonging to one 53-year-old Daryl Cager in East Baton Rouge. Now, Cager claimed to have no knowledge of the theft, but he was taken into custody yesterday.
Number 3.
City parish employees and retirees will need to opt in to new medical insurance after the Metro Council voted to switch their plans at a special meeting, a move that some council members believe will save the municipality more than $16 million. It was an 11-1 vote on this particular measure. The one vote, it was Darrell Hurst.
Number 2.
Governor Jeff Landry submitted a request to the U.S. Department of War on Monday night for 1,000 Louisiana National Guardsmen to deploy across the state and address ongoing public safety concerns regarding high crime rates throughout the state. In his letter to the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, Landry mentioned Shreveport, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge as cities where elevated violent crimes coupled with critical personnel shortages within local law enforcement. What's your feedback over on our Facebook live feed, which is brought to you every day by the folks at Lake Urgent here? I want to get your feedback on this. A, do you welcome National Guard troops? And B, how do you see them being utilized? Let's talk over on Facebook Live.
Number 1.
LSU ranks number 179 in the Wall Street Journal's 2026 Best Colleges in the U.S. rankings. That, by the way, is up 9 spots from where the university ranked last year. What you got?
Well, we have until midnight Eastern time for Congress to reach a deal before the federal government shuts down.
Shut it down. Shut it all the way down.
Maybe. Maybe they will.
Maybe.
No, I think they will. You think?
I'll know a lot more after we talk to Congressman Carter coming
Yeah.
up here about an hour and 20 minutes from right now. A little DC Current presented by LABI. We like to stay in touch with our representation on Capitol Hill, and that involves Congressman Carter on Tuesdays, Congresswoman Letlow on Wednesdays. If they shut the federal government down, can I even get a hold of, like, the congressman or congresswoman? Yes, but they got to send their staff home, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So we'll know for sure.
Well, no,
but-
yeah. Well, I'll feel a lot more confident in my
Yeah.
answer after 8:35. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards they're going to shut it down. Which was a Pitbull song. All right. go
Hey,
ahead.
in other news, is Paul Feinbaum going to run for Senate? If Tommy Tuberville wins the gubernatorial race, it's being rumored that Feinbaum becomes the front runner.
How?
I mean,
How? He's as old as Methuselah. He's got no, like, real appeal other than snark. And he spent the last 200 years answering phone calls about Alabama football. I just...
So you're saying he's not qualified, maybe? Maybe a little
Who the hell
underqualified?
knows? Like,
Like,
who knows,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Paul, I just... This is where we are right now.
This is it.
This is where we are right now.
This is
You
it.
could have Senator Paul Feinbaum. Paul.
Could be. We've seen worse, right?
Have we?
I mean,
Like who?
Look, I'm just trying to find a silver lining, man. Just trying to find a silver lining. Hey, President Donald Trump says he will slap a 100% tax on movies made outside the U.S.
Let's go.
A vague directive aimed at protecting a business that America already dominates.
So when you look at tariffs, you look at foreign products coming into America.
That's right.
This would be, if you take American dollars, American production dollars, American actors, ship them overseas to make your movie somewhere else on the cheap, and then try to come back into this with like some kind of morphed product. I honestly believe that this can get. We have Celtic Studio right here. They've got the ranch down in New Orleans. We have a film business in Louisiana.
Yes, indeed.
Like, and I know every time we talk about Hollywood South, everybody wants to redirect the conversation to, Tom Cruise was at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I care about the business end.
Yep.
And this could be something, mind you,
Could be.
something that makes it more worthwhile to stay home and film. And we talked with Jason Wagensback about 2 weeks ago about exactly, not exactly this isn't a potential tax,
Right.
but what's hot in Louisiana right now? Not much. Everybody's filming overseas. Okay. Who are we competing with right now? Other countries. We're not competing with Georgia. We're not even competing with Hollywood. I'm willing to listen to this one for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're at 713 to talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We got to get a full update from Ascension Parish coming up in just a little bit. Before we take our break, though, I want to remind you about the folks over at Breck, BREC, Breck.org, City Parish Recreational Department. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Breck, and we're going to talk with Janet Simmons tomorrow. One of the things that they've been doing, one of the things that Janet's been doing is taking over as an interim director, has put in a rapid response ticketing program. Basically, with all the properties that Breck has to take care of, they could use a little help when it comes to the eyes and ears on identifying and fixing problems. So, like, if you're at Independence Park and you see, a tree has fallen down on the fence and you don't want people coming over that fence onto the soccer fields, submit a rapid response ticket via breck.org. If you're out at Highland Road Park and you notice the splash pad isn't working, submit a rapid response ticket at breck.org. If you're at Forest Community Park and you realize that one of those, not a cabana, what's the word? One of those just, kind of like that you can, reserve for parties and whatnot. If it's got damages as well, hey, let them know. Submit a rapid response ticket at breck.org. Breck is doing their level best to make sure that they are staying on top of as many properties as they have. And it's just one of the many things going on right now at breck.org. Quick break. We got Donnie Miller next. Cool. Hallmark Filming in Canada. Yep. Debbie says we need Scalise on too. Yeah, best of luck with that. As someone who regularly calls all of our elected officials, I can tell you he is the hardest one to get to. It's more likely I get the president on the show. And that's like a 1%. I forgot. This was a banger, dude. Let me find the cue point, and I want this. This is the bumper at 8:35. Shut It Down, Pitbull, and featuring Akon. I gotta get through this. .718 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We get to check in once a month with the Ascension Parish Chamber. And for that, we turn to Donnie Miller, who's on with us now. How are you, man?
Hey, Brian. Good morning. I got to tell you, your music's on point today.
I need a little juice in the veins, man. The music's got to be ramped up, or it's a rough Tuesday to get through. That's
Well, no, you started off right, so I appreciate you doing that for all of us.
very, very nice. By the way, that's all JP. Like we get his read on it. So whether he wants rock or some Daniel Bedingfield from the year 2000, which, by the way, that's a dude singing that song. Just throwing it out there. No idea. Y'all have a lot going on in Ascension Parish right now. I got to start off with a little. Can we start with community calendar and work our way backwards?
Absolutely.
All right, Monday, y'all have a golf event coming up. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, we're excited. This has been something that's been going on for 27 years, coming up this year. So we've got 54 teams out at Pelican Point. This is going to be a fantastic event. It's one of our larger fundraisers, and we've just found so much success over the years that we're really excited for it this year. And I want to say we have maybe 4 or 5 teams left. But we're looking forward to some nice weather and a nice Monday out of the office.
I was checking the weather. It looks like we got maybe a 30% chance of rain over the weekend, but that should clear out before Monday rolls around. I love that, like, every Monday somebody's got a golf tournament going on. It's just like a complete, like, how do I get in that circuit,
but just come hang out. We live out in Santa Maria, and so we back up to one of the holes. And you're right. Every Monday there's something going on.
Yeah.
There's either food or drinks or some sort of festivities going on. But it's good to see because people keep showing up. I think there's obviously a need.
No, absolutely there is. By the way, not long after that, when's the luncheon? When's your member luncheon?
Yeah, so that's coming up this Thursday.
Okay.
I'm really
So that's
excited
even
about
before
this
Monday.
one.
All right.
It is, yeah. There's so much going on, Brian.
Okay, well, so the reason I wanted to talk about the member luncheon is because as a Chamber of Commerce, your speaker this month is going to open up a whole new conversation here. Tell me who's the speaker.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Taylor Jacobs at LSU, the Associate Athletic Director for NIL and Strategic Initiatives. I'm really excited for this conversation for a few reasons. One, not everybody understands what NIL is, or they've heard of it, but really haven't gotten to the weeds of how it works. Two, how can they participate, and having someone like this come out to the business community to link the partnerships between, the businesses and the university. But three, what I'm really interested in hearing Taylor talk about is how she assists collegiate athletes with their personal branding, and what's the parallel between, a young athlete moving into the market and an entrepreneur, in Ascension Parish. There's not a whole lot of difference. Yes, maybe a little bit of publicity and some money behind them as an athlete at a major university. Mm-hmm. But I think the tools and the tips are going to be applicable. So I'm really excited. I've had a chance to work with Taylor in the past, and gosh, what a professional. And I've really seen the program grow, and I for sure give Taylor much of the credit for how LSU's moving in the market.
Oh, yeah, big time. And by the way, have you seen her office? No, like
I have, yeah.
Okay, that hallway is ridiculous. Like the sports radio, the Capital One studios are in the same hallway. That hallway is ridiculous. What they did over there is beyond compare. The way they're embracing athletes as brands, and when you're a brand, you're a business. And you mentioned that crossover between being an athlete and being an entrepreneur. It's that Venn diagram's one circle, man. They are one and the same at this point, which is why this is such a fascinating topic. If you're an athlete, what are you doing to grow your brand? How are you implementing and putting yourself out there? It is a wonderful topic.
Well, and we have a lot of businesses that they're gonna hear this and take it home, to maximize the bottom line. Yeah. There's also going to be a lot of parents in the room that are trying to navigate their own student through this. I have a lot of family that are playing at the college level, and they walked in not knowing a thing, and I guess that's typical college. You gotta get what you put into it. But I've invited so many members with young athletes that are in high school that are starting to branch into where they want to go. And I think this is going to provide some extra value on top of just the business community and understanding how to partner with the university.
The how can they participate part is a big part of this, because there are a lot of folks out there, small businesses, entrepreneurs, who would like to have some skin in the game when it comes to NIL, would like to be able to take advantage of, partnering with the individual brands that are the individual athletes, but they're not the Gordon McKernans or the Todd Graveses of the world. So what's the entry, what's the buy-in level? What's the entry point? And how can they get in the game? I think it's going to be huge.
We used it when I was with Adonica over at the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. We were able to participate with NIL at LSU, and the way we targeted it was very different than the initial approach I had. We were able to get very granular and say we would like a student athlete that is from Louisiana, or we could get even more granular, a student athlete from Baton Rouge that carries a little more cachet with the local approach that the Alliance is focused on. Right. But you're right. I mean, the Gordons are the other side of the coin where you're able to get a lot more value. But I mean, it was comical when we tried to go contract with Angel. I mean, our budget couldn't touch it at the time.
I would imagine not. She was and still is a very high profile athlete. Getting back to it, a couple of things that are coming up. I want to skip ahead to, you've got your Leadership Alumni Fall Social coming up on October 21st. Tell me about the leadership class out there and what y'all look for and who you look for.
Yeah, we're really excited. Applications have opened up for the 2026 class, and this is going to be the 30th year of this program moving forward. So, the event you teased on the leadership alumni, I mean, what I've noticed coming into this role this past year is how robust our leadership network is, and not only from the 32 to 36 individuals that go through the class each year, but the 30 years of alumni that still continuously get together. Very eye-opening. I mean, having spent many years at BRAC and seeing the quality leadership program in Baton Rouge and getting to take a peek at what they do in St. Tammany and Livingston and some of the other markets, I am very impressed with how organized Leadership Ascension is. But to answer your question, it's a 10-month experience. It's really designed to help participants grow as leaders while gaining a deep understanding of our community. And the sessions cover a wide range of topics, specifically education, healthcare, law enforcement, government, project management. It's a pretty intense year. It kicks off with some team building and a retreat, and then ultimately closes out with a 2-day retreat out of market where participants usually present their community projects, which is a big piece of this whole process.
Not to steal a couple seconds away from Ascension Parish, but you mentioned Baton Rouge, BR leadership. Today's the deadline for that application process for the Baton Rouge leadership class for the next cohort. You mentioned, Donnie, about how you're amazed with the number of people who are still dialed in. It's like you do the class, but you keep coming back. Man, but that's part of the leadership to begin with. Is ownership would be the right word. Taking ownership of what is, in your area, taking ownership of civic pride, taking ownership of growing your town in the right way or your city in the right way. That's a big part of it.
It is, in each parish, each community is driving in a specific direction. And, I'm always happy to see all of our stakeholders who have either gone through the program and are understanding why they need to give back, or have not had a chance to go through the program, but recognize these future leaders are taking the baton of our community and driving it forward. And part of this process is there's a service element throughout, and each class breaks into usually 4 different teams, and they ultimately compete, but they compete on a service level project. And then towards the end of the year in November, our November luncheon at the chamber is where these groups will come and present to our greater membership, and then ultimately one will become victorious and become the project of the year. But ultimately, these 4 will live on, and project after project, Brian, continue to live on in the community, and some have even turned into full-on nonprofits and function with a board and executive director, et cetera.
All right, talk to me a little bit. Okay, can you run through who were the 4 projects last year?
I can, yeah. So they all come with catchy titles, some more catchy than others, but there was Bridging Ascension, and this was a group that was supporting our Council on Aging. There was Fellows of Ascension. This was a group that was improving facilities and outreach throughout the Fellowship Center in Ascension. There's Grounded and Growing. They were raising awareness and support for people in recovery and residents of the sober living home. And then, of course, there was one for Work of Arc, which was increasing awareness for the Arc of East Ascension, which is just a tremendous force of positivity in our market.
And it's an example of, like, how could you take something that's already being done and become the catalyst to make it greater?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a few examples that I think you and I have personally been in when we think of the Lemon Center over in Donaldsonville, where there's been a whole bunch of programming over the past year with all the new project announcements. But that was, obviously it existed, but it was a Leadership Ascension program that came in and revamped that and made it to where our community can use it daily. So, there's all sorts of touch points. And when you calculate 4 times over 30 years, 4 groups over 30 years, just a tremendous impact within the community.
We've got less than a minute to go here. I would be remiss if we let you out of here without talking about business or new business coming. You got some ribbon cuttings on the way.
As a chamber, we serve chamber chicken, and we always have ribbon cuttings, and that's a good news because that means we're growing, we're expanding. And we've got 2 coming out this month. Revolution Wellness is Wednesday, October 8th. They offer primary care, hormone replacement, weight loss, anti-aging injectables, fillers, and peptides. So a really interesting group coming into our market. And then another one at Sweet Magnolia Place, which is a small event venue for about 75 or less.
Okay.
We've had a chance to host a few things over there. Tremendous, great experience. So we're really excited for their growth.
He is Donnie Miller with the Ascension Parish Chamber. We always appreciate the update.
Thanks, Brian. Really appreciate the time. Hope the rest of the day goes great for you.
Yeah, we will talk soon. We've got news, traffic, and weather. On the back end of that, it's time to check in with the R Street Institute. We're talking about energy production. That's next. No. Oh, yeah. Clean versions needed. Yeah. Life's a bitch. Now fuck you, pay me. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to.
Oh. Con.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It was Akon and T-Pain for a while, right?
Akon and T-Pain, yeah. But like you'd have like Akon team up with Pitbull, Akon
Yeah.
and E40,
Yeah.
Akon and Slim Shady. I mean,
Yeah. Akon, Lady Gaga.
what was the
Didn't he do a song with Lady Gaga?
who did he team up with for I Want to Love You?
There was
I
Snoop
see
Dogg in
you
that.
whining. Yeah.
There was a remix.
Or was that an
I
Akon
think,
song?
I think Eminem was in that song in the remix. Or it might have been in the original. I don't
No,
know.
that was Smack That.
Smack That. I'm not, yeah. That's true. That's true. Akon, Gwen Stefani.
Yep.
Yeah, Akon was in everything.
Okay, so I Want to Love You was an Akon song.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't he was teamed up with somebody. Yeah, you couldn't throw a rock without having it featured by Akon.
What did he do? He went to Africa or something like that?
Did he?
I think so. When
He made like $1 billion in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I think he kind of was giving back, man. I think he went dig some wells out in Africa to provide clean water out there.
well, good for him.
Heck yeah. Yeah, he was everywhere. I'm on his Wikipedia just to see his features. I'm like,
Yeah.
God.
What song did he do with Gwen Stefani?
What he did? He did.
I gotta get my binder so I can start booking tomorrow's show.
The Sweet Escape. Studio. Hi, yes, studio. All right, yes, sir. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is JP, by the way. Yeah, we'll have you up here. Well, looks like another minute or so. All right, thank you. Okay, it wasn't water; it was lighting. Acon Lighting Africa. So Acon was, yeah, providing electricity by solar energy in Africa. So yeah, it's good when you see artists kind of give back in that way, or really anyone. It's good stuff.
All right. 737 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Oh my goodness gracious. Looking forward to this next conversation for a couple days now, actually. We've seen a number of projects in the works that are going to take a pretty significant amount of energy to get them done. Talk about the Meta data center up near Monroe. Talking about there's another data center going to be built near St. Francisville. And the question then comes up, is our power grid ready for it? What is it going to take to get ready for it? What's it going to take, not just to build this out and service it, but who picks up the tab for all this? Well, great person to talk to about this would be Devin Hartman from the R Street Institute. He is a policy director when it comes to energy and joins us now. Devin, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
Doing very well as well. So the data centers that are being built out there, energy is going to be at an absolute premium in the very near future. How are we getting there?
Well, you're correct. It's both a function of this artificial intelligence boom, but also, especially in a state like Louisiana, excuse me, that has such a robust industrial base. You're seeing a lot come from traditional heavy industry as well too. So the way you're going to get there is really by both liberating power supply. That means everything from making permitting more streamlined, but also letting energy consumers choose their choice of supplier. And then recognizing that the parts of the grid that have to be centrally planned, like the actual wires and poles, making sure that there's good economic oversight of how that's conducted by a monopoly utility, using things like good cost benefit analysis, putting those projects out for competitive bid. The states that have done those things all together well are the best positioned for energy demand growth. And that's actually why a lot of large developers are looking at the Texas model right now.
Okay, so I want to dive into that a little bit because it is completely foreign to us here in Louisiana. And we'll get to the big ticket items later on. But from a residential standpoint, you used the phrase right there, choose your supplier.
Yeah.
If I've got the same electrical lines running past my house that my neighbor does, how can we have two different suppliers?
So the industry is divided up into a few segments. There's the power generation, right? That's upstream, and there's a transaction that occurs on the regional marketplace for suppliers that are owning the power plants to sell into a regional market.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's folks on the retail side that buy that power on the wholesale market, and they're the ones that can come, literally to your door, and you can have your choice of supplier if the law provides it, right? Whereas the other industry segments, the transmission and distribution segments, that's the poles and wires segment, that is largely kind of centrally planned, usually by a single entity or a utility, but we can do that a lot more cost effectively, right? Again, good economic tools and competitive bidding are important, but things like power generation and then selling that supply at the retail level, those are not natural monopolies. Louisiana still treats it as one. Many other states do not.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen downward pressure on costs and greater consumer optionality, better risk management when you let competitive forces come in, let consumers choose their supplier. And this is also not just important for these big growing energy consumers, but also when you let those folks go to the market, then they make that transaction and they pay for their own power, at least on the supply side. And that avoids socializing those costs on other customer groups. Whereas if you have to go through a single integrated monopoly utility, they're going to socialize a lot of these costs because they own everything and they have to recover all those costs and their rates. And then you get into the battles of, before the Public Service Commission of who pays for what. And fortunately, the generation and retail side of the industry, you should really open that up to the competitive market to both make yourself more business friendly, but then to also protect a lot of the consumers, like especially on the residential side, that shouldn't be having to foot the bill on that front.
And here in Louisiana, we have a separate problem with we have mass outages after storms and whatnot. When it comes to decoupling or breaking down that monopoly, how do we make sure infrastructure is held account is up to standard as well?
So most outages result from damage to the poles and wires segment. And so there's been an interesting case here in Louisiana where Entergy in particular has had a lot of grid resilience plans that are filed.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where you have to weigh costs and benefits very heavily. Your other Gulf Coast states like Florida have gone through this, or even think about on the West Coast where they've had wildfires. Hardening this infrastructure is really expensive.
Yeah.
And so you need to have a really robust process for your regulatory and consumer groups to help combine and oversee the execution of which projects are going to be net beneficial to customers and which ones you just have to be willing to not fully inflate, because we cannot cost effectively armor the poles and wires from every scenario, right? Hurricanes, flooding, or otherwise. But we can harden the system further to reduce outages and expedite recovery time. It's just really expensive. And so there's trade-offs. And you need to make sure that the PSC, your Public Service Commission, has good processes in place to weigh those costs and benefits.
Okay, so let me go back to my previous question with this added information into it. So if, let's say Entergy has to harden their grid out, right? And that cost of doing business is rolled off onto the customer because everything is. So if that cost of doing business is absorbed by the customer, but the customer wants the option to use someone else for their power, then who's left to pick up the tab for the grid that Entergy has gone to the lengths to build out?
That's a great question. So everyone has to pay for the local wires, the distribution system through Entergy. That's a natural monopoly. That's just unavoidable. And for the most part, the transmission system is going to be in the state is going to be owned by the same utility. Although the transmission system broadly gets built out also as part of a regional process, which is much more economic than having just the utility in a silo do its work. And those projects can and should be competitively bid. So everyone kind of shares in on that wires infrastructure. The thing that's really important is that the power plants, right, that infrastructure, all of that can be pushed onto the private sector and competitive suppliers. And so in the states that have done that, the risk then goes on the investors, right, to make prudent decisions on what type of power plants and how many to build. And guess what? If they guess wrong, then those costs are not passed on to customers. Their shareholders have to eat them.
Really?
So it's a combination, right? So like you think of a typical competitive market. Think of the oil and gas industry. If the oil and gas industry like overinvests in exploration and refinement and other features, like then guess what? They have to write off those excessive investments, right? They eat it, right? That's the beauty of a competitive market. But under a monopoly model, the regulatory process blesses the prudence of that infrastructure up front, and then it requires cost recovery of captive ratepayers, which is why we want to get as much as of this infrastructure as possible out on the competitive marketplace, and then make sure what has to remain sort of this rate-regulated monopoly infrastructure has as much economic discipline as possible, and you have all your customer groups being very active in that process.
We're talking with Devin Hartman from the R Street Institute. He's policy director when it comes to energy, who is really explaining why it's so hard to break up a monopoly. I mean, at this point, Entergy's over there singing "Mother Knows Best" from the Tangled soundtrack. It's just there's a lot to undo in order to get to that level of choice.
There really is, and I think you have a couple great advocates in your state. Your in-state think tank, the Pelican Institute, is fantastic. They're getting more active in these matters. The Louisiana Energy Users Group, which represents these large consumer segments, are fantastic. They really want to have that optionality of being able to go to the marketplace. They've been pushing that for over a decade. And increasingly, you need these large consumer groups and the small consumer groups to really sync up and say, here's what's best for the consumer class overall.
Yeah.
And then you have these groups all kind of connect the dots, talk to the legislature, talk to the Public Service Commission, and really make sure you get as much competitive discipline ingrained in the marketplace as possible.
All right, Devin, we got to get to the top of the page. And I promised I'd have you up by 7:50, but I'm going to keep you for 2 minutes on top of that, if that's okay.
Sure.
So let's go back to the top of the page. When you have a new AI data center coming in, being built from scratch, and it's bigger than the Superdome, it's going to take a lot of power. Well, it's like 8 times the Superdome, but it's going to take a lot of power generation, which means new power generation as well. Who's picking up the tab for that? Is there going to be a surge in cost for the people who live around where Meta is moving in?
So in terms of just the power generation itself, any time in a competitive marketplace that more demand comes on, right, the classic economic 101, the demand curve shifts and it puts some upward pressure on prices. Mm-hmm. But in a competitive marketplace, that pressure is going to be less than it will be in a monopoly context. In a monopoly context, you only have one provider. They're usually going to be slower to deliver on that project. They're going to have a markup on it because they're a monopoly. And again, because of the regulatory paradigm, they socialize all that cost and risk on captive ratepayers. So it's really important. And then you get into the sparring match of who pays for that additional segment.
Right.
In the market model, you don't really have to get into that so much. It really just goes on the open market. Folks are going to pay for that. So really, this is where, think a state like Virginia, which is the data center, capital of the world, right? This is where Dominion is the main monopoly utility there. They're the ones that typically have had all captive customers. But the large loads, in conjunction with some of the small consumer groups, have said, hey, let these guys go shop in the open marketplace. That way, Dominion's not planning a huge power generation build out that kind of gets spread across all its customer base. Just let as many customers as possible, but at the very least, let the big ones just go to the market, shop. That'll take care of it. And then come back to the things on those poles and wires, right? And make sure that the new data centers are paying their fair share. And that's the part that the regulatory process has to oversee in a more hands-on manner.
All right, last one for you. We're really going to shift gears here to talk about not who's picking up the tab, but who's generating the power, how the power is being generated. Louisiana, huge LNG state, right?
Right.
So is that enough to get it done, or is when something like Meta moves into town, do we need to start looking at the diversifying how the power is generated?
Yeah, it's usually, I mean, on these things, we want it to be open up to the marketplace, right? And the things that are really in the money right now to build are natural gas, from like combustion turbines, basically like a jet engine, and then combined cycle, which are like the more efficient ones that capture the exhaust heat from that. That's really economical. Wind and solar are also very economical. So those are the main three that when you look at like the equities markets, for example, that's what they're really financing in droves. But whereas like LNG in particular tends to be used for like moving gas, offshore. We actually see it more used in the Northeast because they refuse to build enough gas pipeline infrastructure. You can't get a line through New York. So you'll see a lot of LNG getting rerouted up near the Boston area and injecting that. Whereas in a state like Louisiana, very robust pipeline system, you can use a lot of oil and gas that is from your region or even your state. That's developed and refined and processed and burned right there. And then with wind and solar, obviously the trick on some of those is there's some ability, especially solar in Louisiana. But with wind energy, a lot of this stuff needs to be imported from other states that are a bit more geographically favorable for that resource. And that's where you need to make sure that the transmission system has limited constraints. And a lot of these, the large energy users in Louisiana I mentioned, are really excited to make sure that the transmission system gets built out cost effectively. That's the key. That way they can import the types of power that are the cheapest elsewhere, and then they can also buy the types of power that are cheapest from in-state options as well. It's the gains from trade. It's why we love markets. It keeps costs down, keeps optionality high. Of course, everyone wants to know about nuclear. Nuclear economics are still very challenging, but there is a lot of commercial interest in it right now. So you are seeing folks like some of the data centers being willing to pay a hefty premium to go nuclear, given that it's emissions free and highly reliable.
Well, that, and once you start importing the energy from somewhere else, I mean, I would have to imagine homegrown energy in the long run is the better solution for everybody, simply because, not just on a cost scale, but on taking care of your, the rest of your marketplace scale as well. Homegrown energy keeps your neighbor's mortgage paid.
Exactly. I should say, when I was referring to imports, I meant imports from other states, not other countries.
I was right there with you. No, completely. But
Right,
I would rather move, LNG from Lake Charles to Monroe than, wind from West Texas. I would all day long.
Right. Yeah, it's really the economics of it. It's usually a portfolio that always makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And the best economics of it, this is really where you just want the professionals to decide where energy comes from. You always get these, including many of my peers at other think tanks, will say, well, I know exactly what energy source, this state should be using. I'm like, nobody knows, right? Prognosticators are always wrong. You really got to humble yourself and say, what are the economic characteristics of this industry? It's conducive to markets. Let's set up a good market structure and then just let the smart money rip, let them go. And that's when we've seen that those structures play out. Those tend to be the areas that are the most ready for this energy demand surge, and where you're seeing more buy-in from the customer groups, especially residentials, that aren't really necessarily at the forefront of that energy demand surge.
He is Devin Hartman from the R Street Institute. That's where we're going to have to call it for now, but not the last we're talking to you. We'll be in touch very soon because it's fascinating stuff. Always appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no,
thank you. So much.
It's a home run with R Street every time. Every time. We're super long. Coming back next. Interesting. 758 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to Devin Hartman from the R Street Institute for hopping on board for that fantastic discussion. Not the last of the discussion we're going to have, by the way. I did want to mention over on Twitter, Matthew says that I was talking about, decoupling from the monopoly. How do you undo the monopoly? And when Devin explained it, Matthew says on Twitter, BS, look how well that worked with telecom in the 80s. No way it works without completely screwing the legacy infrastructure owner. And that was the nature of my question, Matthew, about like if Entergy's picking up the tab, pawning off the tab on all of us to knock down wooden power poles and put up big metal ones, which you're seeing going up all over Baton Rouge, right? If they're doing that, and the cost is sent on to the consumer, and then the consumer then has the opportunity to say, you know what, I want to go swim in this pond over here instead, then Entergy's left holding the bag on that. And all of that was a side note from how do you power a data center? So good stuff. And that conversation will continue. Not enough time to get into another topic right here. So we'll let me, before we hit news, remind you about the folks at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. They have been a community bank since 1895. That is a ridiculously long time to have a mission, achieve that mission, remain on the same path. You get to be pretty good at what you do. You get to be pretty good at when folks walk in to open their first checking account or savings accounts for with their kids, or when folks come in wanting to start talking about retirement or borrowing money to either buy a car, buy their home, talk about their investments. You have a community banker with Landmark Bank. Learn more at landmarkbankla.com. Here comes news. Okay. Email about Paul Feinbaum. I love your show, but this morning I think you insulted every senior citizen listening, suggesting that Paul Feinbaum is older than Methuselah and too old to run for office was cruel. I didn't say he was too old to run for office. It's one of the things you consider. In fact, I don't even said that. I don't think I said that much. I did say he's older than Methuselah. Donald Trump is older than Feinbaum. I had no idea Trump was older than Feinbaum. Yeah, Feinbaum is only 70. I just looked it up. And had no political experience when he won the presidential. Hang on. I'm done responding to shit like this. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. I'm going to get an update this hour from Tangipahoa Parish, downriver from Smitty's Supply. After the governor came out on Sunday telling the EPA, hey, y'all need to pick things up a little bit. Pick up the pace, get a little kick in the pants. What's the reaction around the Tangipahoa River? Is there faith that this effort will increase? We will talk with Pat Mashburn. He's a resident along the Tangipahoa Parish River. If you go to Talk's Facebook page right now, yesterday evening, I posted up another handful of pictures of goop that was pulled from the river. I mean, it's gross downriver. And there's like these little pink and white sparkles that are showing up now that it doesn't look like the normal sheen that would be on top of water when you have oil in the water. This looks different than that. Meanwhile, EPA comes out heading into the weekend with a 305-page report on the chemicals that have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Dispersed, whether through the air, on the ground, or in the water. Not just that which was there from Smitty's, but in the efforts to clean up the fire from Smitty's as well. So we'll talk with Pat Mashburn in our next segment. Also this hour, we've got Congressman Troy Carter. As it stands right now, we are 14 hours away from a shutdown. Okay. Is it going to shut down? Who's going to blink first? If there is a shutdown, are we looking at something different than the normal, go home and when you come back, you'll get your back pay? No. This could be, all right, you're done here. Your position is now eliminated. When you come back, there will not be a back to come to. Like, this shutdown looks and feels differently than previous iterations of these political standoffs. Which, by the way, we've been asking you all morning on our Facebook Live, presented by Lake Urchin Care. Do you think the government shuts down at 11 p.m. our time tonight? Yes or no? All that's still to come in the show. Right now, this day in history. Let's roll. All right.
1935, the Boulder Dam. Later, the Hoover Dam.
What?
Astride the border of Arizona and Nevada is dedicated to U.S. President, Franklin D. Roosevelt. The day, 1935.
Okay.
Let's see. 1955, American actor and cultural icon James Dean is killed in a car crash at age 24.
Yeah, saw that.
24. Wow. The Flintstones premiered today in 1960, the first animated sitcom created by Hanna-Barbera. The first of many.
The Flintstones were the first.
Yeah, according to...
and I'm guessing the Jetsons were the second?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we touched on that.
No. We've touched on it before. We will not go back down that rabbit hole.
Yikes.
Do not Google the ages of George Jetson, Jane Jetson, and daughter Judy.
Oof.
You do not want to. No. You do not want to know when Jane was pregnant with Judy. Just saying, don't do it. Don't look that up.
1961. The bill for the Boston Tea Party is paid by Mayor Snyder of Oregon, who writes a check for $196. The total cost.
You can't. Mayor of what?
Mayor Snyder of Oregon.
Oregon's a state. It doesn't have a mayor.
What?
Whatever.
It just says Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor Snyder of Oregon. Huh. Mayor Snyder of Oregon. Well, he's of Oregon, so maybe.
What's Snyder's first name there?
It just says Mayor Snyder.
All right.
So I guess he's from. I guess it's just maybe not Oregon. Just saying he hails from.
Keep going.
He hails from Oregon, right? $196.
A mayor named J.W. Snyder paid for Okay, now we got to look up who J.W. Snyder is.
While you're doing that, 1978, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John had their second UK #1 from the film Grease with Summer Nights.
Oh, cool.
Summer Nights.
Summer Nights was a banger.
Man, it was. Grease was decent, man. Let's see. You know what? It was #1 for 7 weeks. It became the second best-selling single of 1978, beaten by Saturday Night Fever.
Hey, all right.
Yep. Hey, this is pretty cool. 2016, a schoolboy from Philadelphia skipped class to meet Bruce Springsteen. He came in the next day with an excuse for his absence, signed by Bruce Springsteen. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Does that hold up?
Right, like...
I skipped school to meet Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen said it's okay.
Yeah, he signed this permission.
It's like that scene from Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson says, I have a permit. And the guy goes, this just says I can do whatever I want.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
J.W. James Snyder is not a current mayor. He's the former mayor of Portage, Indiana, who was removed from office in 2019 following a federal bribery conviction.
Ooh. Well, at least he paid that outstanding balance.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, man. This day, you know what? 2023, bipartisan deal to avoid U.S. government shutdown is signed just hours before the midnight deadline.
Imagine that. Imagine that. We're going to go through all this hullabaloo, and, yeah, something's going to happen at like 9 o'clock our time. Great Scott!
Right.
We've got the answer!
Oh, man. Birthdays?
Sure, why not?
Rummy.
Who?
The poet, Rummy.
Okay.
Speaking of poets, T-Pain today.
Yeah, I saw that. T-Pain's birthday.
Truman Capote.
I saw that one too.
And I believe that was it.
No, we've got more.
You got more?
Oh, of course I've got more.
What
I've got, how about Jenna Elfman? Ever remember her from, what was that sitcom? She did a really good movie with Ed Norton and Ben Stiller, where Ed Norton was a priest and Ben Stiller was a rabbi, and she was like their best friend growing up. Keeping the Faith. That was the name of that movie.
Oh, okay.
But what was her sitcom? Greg and Dharma. That was her sitcom.
Ah, okay.
Horrible sitcom.
Good stuff.
Barry Williams. The oldest Brady brother.
Oh, okay.
His birthday as well.
Okay.
And on the sports front, I only had the one. Born on this day in 1861, one William Wrigley Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. American industrialist and owner of the Chicago Cubs, was born on this day in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
All right. And I just had the one death. It was James Dean.
Yes, James Dean died on this day. And these lists are getting out of hand with a number of people I've never heard of.
Don't they get out of hand? And it's multiple.
Oh, sorry. No, we do have one more.
Who do we have?
Died on this day last year. Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
On this list.
Yep. And my days of my national days are worthless because I've got extra virgin olive oil day.
What about podcast day? That's what
Let's roll with that, because it'll give me the opportunity to mention that the Louisiana Business Weekly podcast your source for the latest in Louisiana's business landscape. I'm the host, but I'm not the star of the show. These are stories being told by business owners, by business creators, by those who have jumped into the entrepreneurship world and rose back up to the top of the water and successfully swam. It is proudly presented by Currency Bank. We try to stay weekly, and we try to stay, within the news cycle, keep up with the trends as best we can. It's available on all platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Catch every episode at talk1073.com. Same place you're going to find the Moon Griff On podcast, whether it's Baton Rouge Blunders or DC Drama. Moon's got the hot takes and hometown humor to keep you laughing. Also available on all podcast outlets. 814 at Talk 1073 FM. Let's get an update from Tangipahoa Parish next. Do you still have Pat's number?
Let me check. I should. No, I don't. Do you want? I don't have it. Do you want to send it or text it? 225. Oh.
.816 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Before we get our check down in Tangipahoa Parish, got to remind you about the folks over at Methurns. Yes, we know and love the downtown location, but I want to remind you about the Nicholson Drive location across the street from Tiger Stadium in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, and the Kenilworth location on Highland Road just west of Kenilworth Parkway, because both of these locations offer online shopping, offer ordering online. If you open up the Methurns Rewards app, there's a little shop online tab right there. Makes it super duper simple, breaks it all down by department. Now, if you scroll over a little bit, you'll find a green tab that says shopping list. So you can build out your shopping list on your own, or just dive in and go department to department looking for your items. They'll automatically make sure that all the deals that apply. And every dollar you spend with Methurns, you're earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop. So take advantage of that online ordering. It's super duper simple. They bring it right out to your car. It's Methurns and the Methurns Rewards app. All right, joining us now, he's been keeping us up to speed on this, what's going on downriver from Smitty's for, a month and a week now. Pat Mashburn. Pat, welcome back. How are you?
Be back. We are now in day 40 of this debacle.
And debacle it is. You've been posting up seemingly daily, sampling from the river, pulling water and goop out, taking pictures of what it's looking like, dipping a paper towel in and pulling it out, and it's like the white-black comparison, the balance, the juxtaposition, I should say, when you pull the paper towel out, it's gross to begin with, but it seems like it's getting worse. Is that the feeling?
It's getting much, much worse. And I don't really have any confidence level in Governor Landry's promise to send help because, it's just nothing has changed. The paper towel samples still look the same. The water looks like it's getting worse. So it's, people are very concerned.
You've been posting up pictures, and the pictures are starting to look a little different. The ones you had yesterday, which I shared over on Talk's Facebook page, there's more than just the sheen now. We're seeing like pink and white sparkles in the water. Are we starting to see maybe the runoff of the stuff they had to use in order to put out the fire?
I think that's highly probable, but if we were starting to see the runoff, we would have seen it a lot sooner than what we're seeing now, which begs the question, what exactly are they spraying in the water now? Because when all this started, there was an organization or group that sprayed chemicals into the water that was not approved by the EPA. It was extremely dangerous, and that I do believe that's what we are seeing now.
But rewind the clock. Some of the stuff they had to use to put out the fire in and of itself. The fire is going to take priority over what's downriver, right? But like you said, we're at day 40 right now, and the first 10 days we're putting the fire out to begin with. So we're still 30 days removed from the end of the actual fire phase of this.
Yeah, that's correct. And one of the changes I've noticed are that the airboats that are supposedly, helping with the recovery efforts, I've seen fewer and fewer of them in the last 2 weeks. But one thing I've noticed is that, like in front of my house, you have adequate space in the middle of the river for the boats to pass by. But now what they're doing is that they're coming closer and closer to my dock, almost as if to send a message, because the EPA, the way that they're operating these boats, it's almost like they're in complete defiance. They don't recognize that they're supposed to be protecting the environment, not destroying it.
Well, so the airboats is an interesting thing there. Because the airboat's supposed to sit on top of the water basically, but if they're flying up and down the river, they're going to create a wake, and for every ounce of wake that there is, that's oil being pushed on shore.
And I think that's what you're seeing, as the river gets lower, because it's, we haven't had a whole lot of rain.
Yeah.
I can see more evidence. I can now take more soil samples under my dock. And when I did that last week, and I have a picture within the last couple of days of the oil sample, it looks like you're putting, dark, cane syrup on top of sand. That's what it looks like now. And I think that's a further indication of, the damage to the soil, which can get into the drinking water in the wells and the aquifers.
We're talking with Pat Mashburn. He's a resident along the Tangipahoa River. He's about 25 miles south of Smitty. He's about 1 mile north of Highway 22, nestled in between I-12 and Highway 22. Just to kind of give the perspective of how far removed and yet how much is still impacted with this disaster. Pat, I want to ask you about networking with other people up and down the river there. How much have you been able to talk to other residents to kind of make sure you're not the only one in this boat right here? It's the same upriver and downriver from you.
Right. We stay in daily contact multiple times a day. And the one common thread is that not one of us has heard a single word from the EPA or the parish since this all started. The Tangipahoa Parish government website continuously posts updates from the EPA on what they've removed from the river and how great the effort's going. And we're looking at each other like, we're not seeing any of it.
Right.
So where is this taking place?
Got just a couple minutes left with Pat Mashburn, talk about the fallout from the explosion 40 days ago at Smitty's. Pat, I hate to use the word evolution, but let's call it the changes. The changes that you've seen in the river over the last 40 days. Are you still of the belief, last time you and I talked, we speculated about this, that there's still stuff being added to the river here? Like, is there a leak somewhere? Is something not being, dammed up? Or is this still the after effects of everything that got in the river 40 days ago?
Well, I think it's the after effects. Plus, Smitty's is still operating. They've just moved their operations a little bit further north. So they're still, they might have laid off a certain amount of employees, but they're very much in operation. So they haven't stopped, regardless of what they've tried to get the public to believe.
Our news partners at WBRZ, who you actually spoke with as well, they quote Nick Roth, a Region 6 on-scene coordinator with the EPA, who said, we've established underflow dams, some other contaminant booms to hold it in one area, Roth said. He said cleanup efforts were successful so far. Right now, the EPA's focus is on 4 ponds east of Smitty Supply and the Tangipahoa River. Other than some airboats, what efforts have been visible from your end?
Not a darn thing. Not a single thing.
And on the
that's why it just mystifies me that I mean, they may be able to try to create that image on a larger scale, but when you come down to our area, you can still see everything, and you're like, well, what the heck are they talking about? Because I don't see any improvement here. And I mean, to this date, nobody has been contacted by anybody from Parish government or the EPA. Yet they will set up what they call office hours at Lee's Landing, which I went to on Friday. Not one of them could answer a single question that I had, but yet the individual that was in the video was the one that I spoke to. They're trying to say how great everything's going, but when he realized he couldn't answer my question, he went into the trailer and 6 more people came out, to try to defend themselves. And I'm like, well, all you have to do is look at my pictures. I mean, that's why I don't have any faith in what the EPA is doing.
Okay, so that was actually my next question, was about the upcoming office hours that they've got. In fact, today from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., they're going to be right back at Lee's Landing Marina. So are these open to everyone in the public? And is there any kind of written registry where you can make sure your complaint is actually on file, make sure your complaint is there to be referenced at a later date if it does not get addressed? Or are these just chat sessions?
These are just chat. I mean, honestly, what they are is chat sessions. Because when I went down there, they said, "Well, let's can you give us your address so we can know where you're located?" And I told them, and they said, "Well, we can't come on. We can't enter your property unless you sign an agreement." And my response was, "Well, I didn't sign an agreement to give you permission to store your sludge on my property."
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at that, but it's true.
Well, it really is. It's the absurdity, and it just goes to show this is nothing more than a PR effort. I mean, at this point, if I could say anything to the governor or the EPA, we are judging you by your actions and not by your words. And that's also how we make our decisions on whether or not we're going to vote for you in the next election.
Got just 2 minutes left with Pat Mashburn, who lives along Tangipahoa River. I want to ask you follow-up on that. If they say they can't enter your property without you signing an agreement, were you able to get a look at the agreement? Or, before we chat again, can you get a look at an agreement that is it just a matter of permission to enter your property, or were there some other is there another shoe to drop if you were to sign something?
Now, the gentleman that I spoke to that's featured in the video who is talking about what happens at Lee's Landing, when I said, "Okay, show me the agreement," well, we don't have it.
Then how can you sign it?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to sign it anyway because it's my trust level is 0. So why would I put the noose around my neck even further?
In the meanwhile, what's the plan here with the network amongst other residents and whatnot? What are next steps? Is it still just, shout until someone hears you, or is there another level of activity?
Shout until someone hears us. But I'm going to tell you, I have to give thanks to you and the other news organizations that have refused to let this story die, because otherwise the only, the image that, that the picture that they're trying to project is that this only happened in that 1 mile radius around Roseland, and that junk reached me in less than 48 hours after the explosion.
Yeah, and it has only gotten progressively worse since then. In the meanwhile, keep after it. We'll continue to check in. He is Pat Mashburn, lives along Tangipahoa River. Thank you so much, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care, Brian. Bye-bye.
Bye. Coming up on 8:30 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. And yeah, go to Talk 107.3's Facebook. Already there. If you are there and you're watching us on demand, you back right out, because the post that's underneath this is like 6 or 7 pictures. 6, 7, 6. Sorry, I have a teenager. I'm sorry. The pictures, there's 6 or 7 pictures there, and you're going to see in there just the gook that's built up. And gook is about as technical term as I can use here. It's gross. Now, every day Pat pulls a sample out of the water and puts it in a little jar, and when you're looking down at that jar, it's just straight up black. I mean, it's like Beverly Hillbillies Texas tea black. And then like some of the other pictures, you can see where like the sheen's on top of the water, but it's nowhere near optimal at this point, and continuing to get worse. All right, 8:30, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are due up for a quick break. When we get back from that break, it'll be time for DC Current, presented by LABI, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, your state's Chamber of Commerce. Check them out online at labi.org. Talk with Congressman Carter. We going to shut it down? We'll find out next. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm now certain that this is going to happen. Maybe. I bet that's somebody looking for ESPN Studio. Yeah. Pitbull shut it down. Is Congress going to shut it down as well? We've got T minus. Well, we got less than 15 hours to go. Midnight Eastern time is the when the drop dead deadline is. Roll. We welcome in Congressman Troy Carter, as we do every week. Congressman Carter, welcome aboard. How are you, sir?
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing fine this morning. We are rolling through what is feeling like a pretty tense day. How's it feeling up in our nation's capital?
Equally as tense here, my friend.
I would imagine even more so.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. You know, we have a looming shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
The American people deserve better. This is not a way to govern. We've seen this play out before, and it's never ended well.
No, and this one somehow feels different, though. And I wanted, if we could talk about why this one feels different. I think
it feels differently because one of the fundamental differences is, you know, in the past we've had government shutdowns. People were furloughed, and they worked but were ultimately paid.
Right.
Now, in this mean and unusual twist, the administration is planning to lay off thousands of people, which means during the shutdown period, they will go without a check and not get reimbursed later. It's a difference when you know you're working, but eventually you can defer your payments because you'll get a check.
Yeah.
Now this nasty twist that hardworking federal employees who give their time and talent to keep our government going, whether it's TSA, the military, those who produce Social Security checks, our veterans, are at risk of possibly not just having the government shut down, but being laid off, thus denying them the opportunity to be paid at all.
Well, and if
laid
off,
look, many Americans work from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Losing a paycheck is a big deal.
It is. It is. Now, laid off doesn't necessarily mean back to work when this is over, though. That's why this one feels different to me. Is furloughed means you're right back on once the lights are turned back on and everything's up and running again. Laid off is going to mean rehired, does it not?
It could mean rehired, or it could mean not rehired.
Right.
That's the uncertainty of the nastiness of this. This is like an ultimate dagger in the hearts of the of federal employees, because now, insult to injury, government shutdown, I'm laid off with no promise, commitment, or even idea will I be brought back.
We got Congressman Troy Carter with us, a little DC Current presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Congressman, previous government shutdowns always feel like a game of chicken where one side is trying to call the other side's bluff. You're talking about in a Trump administration that started with DOGE. This second term of Donald Trump started with an effort to remove or eliminate as many government positions as is humanly possible. This doesn't feel like a bluff to me. So let me ask the question this way. Why not take a bad deal rather than force a worse situation?
Because the bad deal is untenable. And a bad deal is a bad deal intentionally, because I believe that the intent of the Trump administration is to do what they attempted to do during the Doge period of our government, when there was an attempt to significantly reduce our workforce. And now I think this is yet another way to do it. The president is thumbing his face in the American people, his thumb into the faces of the American people. I think this president wants a shutdown, bar none. I think the president wants a shutdown. It's what he's wanted from the very beginning. It's unfortunate, but when I tell you we have been at the table, I am in Washington, D.C., Democrats are in Washington, D.C., I will not leave Washington, D.C., I will stay here with hopes that our Republican counterparts will meet us at the table and have legitimate negotiations about keeping the lights on, keeping the government open, making sure that our soldiers who are fighting for us at home and abroad are being paid, making sure that checks for our senior citizens are being processed timely, making sure that air travel is not unduly delayed because TSA workers are not at their post or are at limited posts. Listen, one of the fundamental functions of government, of the Congress, of our checks and balances, is to keep our government funded and going. There are 435 of us in the Congress, the president, and 100 members of the Senate. We've got to do better. We have to be responsible. The people sent us to Washington to be able to hammer out deals and negotiate. But to offer a deal that hurts as many people as this deal does is really a deal that the president is saying, I know you can't accept this negotiation, so I'm going to shut it down. I mean, that's just the bottom line, and that's unfortunate. And I will tell you that many of my Republican friends that I've had the opportunity to speak with, they're not happy about this either. They're being held hostage just like the rest of the American people. And that's unfortunate, because I will tell you, in the most bipartisan voice I can offer, the efforts that we're seeing happening with this administration is not Republican or Democrat. It's something else, man. It's a party unto itself. It is not the principles of the Republican Party. It's certainly not the principles of the Democratic Party. And we've got to find our way through this as Americans and put our foot down and say, we're going to not let you trample our Constitution. We're not going to let you trample our freedom of speech. We're not going to let you turn the clock back on what the framers of the United States Constitution set out some 238 years ago, that we would have a framework for which our government would operate. Man, we are so far off track. And this should be, and as I talk to friends in both parties, is concerning to Democrats and Republicans. We just have to band together and say enough is enough.
What are the sticking points within the negotiation, and what's actually up for negotiation in the meanwhile to help find a middle ground or a reasonable solution?
Kitchen table issues for the American people. Prices, lowering prices for the American people, as the president said he would do on day one. Mm-hmm. That hadn't happened. The skyrocketing cost of health care. This big bill, will just be fair, this big bill that is now a big law has devastating impacts on it that will impact Republicans and Democrats alike. We want to revisit some of that. We want to reduce the pain that the American people are feeling. I don't think that's unfair. This is not something that will only benefit Democrats. This will benefit all Americans, and it's the right thing to do.
You talked about the skyrocketing cost of health care. I think that's probably one of the bigger sticking points along the way. Where is there room for discussion within on that front?
An expansion of the ACA subsidies that would give. So
right there, is that about the what or the who?
Pardon?
Is that about the what on that front, or is that about the who? Because as I understand it, one of the sticking points is that ACA being open to so many people that probably aren't entitled to it is one of the sticking points on the right.
Oh, come on, man. That's such hogwash. People aren't entitled to it.
Don't shoot the messenger, Congressman.
No, that's not directed at you, my friend. But it's such a talking point. Listen, we've seen study after study that demonstrate that this hocus pocus of all these people being on the books who really aren't has not been sustained. These are talking points that are not sustained. expert after expert after expert, Republican, Democrat, independent, academicians, economists have shot down these theories over and over again. It's just not true. And so you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and use these manufactured, not you, of course, the talking heads, want to use these manufactured talking points to justify what can't be justified. Case in point, the elements of the big bill don't kick in. Now stay with me because this is very important, Pat. The elements of the big bill does not take effect until after midterms. Now let that sink in for a second. Until after midterms. Why? Because they cannot defend the ugliness and the deep cuts this bill will hurt American people. Even their own people will suffer greatly. They cannot defend it at the ballot box. So what do? You hold it until after re-election. So at election time, you get to say, oh, you see, that didn't hurt you at all. No, it didn't hurt you because it hasn't been put into effect yet.
Not to add fuel to your fire, but the bigger cuts don't even kick in until after 28.
Yes. So the point I'm making is this latent effect of having it happen later is demonstrative of the fact you want to do it after midterms. Then you want to hold out the ugliness till after the next presidential election. That's deceiving the American people. It's deceiving Republicans and Democrats. It's just not the way to govern. Listen, I can agree to disagree with my counterparts on ideological views. I cannot go along with trickery and shenanigans that mislead the American people. That's not why I'm in Washington. That's not why we were sent to Washington. And this is not a Republican or Democrat commentary. This is American commentary. We owe it to the people to be honest, to be forthright, even when we disagree. We present our cases. But to somehow suggest that we can lie to the American people and then hide the facts until after the election, man, that's just something out of a bad movie.
We've got just a few minutes. JP, we're gonna blow right past it. I already know that. Okay. We got a few minutes left with Congressman Troy Carter, D.C. Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Congressman, if you could, in one sentence, because I've got one more topic I want to cover that I feel is a lot more positive. In one sentence, at midnight Eastern time tonight, is the government going to shut down? What's your gut tell you?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get you out of here, I don't want to
say that only because we're here alone. Democrats are here. We are all here. All 213 of us are here, and our counterparts are not. Which means, unless they're flying in right now, and we're going to be on the floor to do something, it's not likely, unfortunately. But to underscore my earlier comment, I'm not leaving. I'm going to be here with hopes that they'll join us and we have a miracle moment. American people deserve it.
Before we get you out of here, and thank you for that. Before we get you out of here, I want to leave on something that I feel is a lot more positive that I wanted you to address. In that you were recently at the Congressional Black Caucus's annual legislative conference, and there was a very serious and very nationwide look back on Katrina. I thought really hit home.
Thank you. And I'm going to send you, if you didn't get a chance to see it, I'm going to send you a copy of, it'll be on my podcast, What Makes America Tick, in its entirety in the next couple of weeks. But I'll be sure to give you a copy because it really was a very impactful, powerful impact. Look back at, we had General Honoré, Russell Honoré, who of course was the commander of getting things straight during Katrina. Did a phenomenal job. He blessed us with his presence. We had Norman Robinson, who was a noted journalist and WDSU reporter who covered it all from the ground up in New Orleans. We had the Honorable Jim Clyburn, who's a member of Congress and a historian who was on the ground fighting with us as well in the aftermath of Katrina and fighting to make sure that our city was rebuilt when some thought it shouldn't be. Then we had Wendell Pierce, who's a noted actor who is from Pontchartrain Park, community in New Orleans and also lived through Katrina. And it was a historical walk back of 20 years later, where we were, where we are, where we're headed. It talked about the resiliency of the people. It talked about the Good Samaritans. It talked about our outstanding first responders, the National Guard, first responders, firemen, police officers, peace officers, and incredible Good Samaritan volunteers. Much of that was not depicted in the news. They saw what people saw as lawlessness and people cussing and being angry, all justified, those who were cussing and being angry because a system had failed them. But the greater picture was the resiliency of the people, how hard they worked, and the good people gave their time, left their families to make sure other families were whole, but also demonstrated a great community that has rebounded and continues to bounce back. The resiliency of New Orleans, the resiliency of Louisiana is unmatched.
He is Congressman Troy Carter. We always appreciate the time. Hopefully the next time we talk, the lights will be back on and everybody will be back up and running. I mean, a week's worth of shutdown would be
Well, listen, I haven't given up on us being able to avoid a shutdown altogether. I just gave you what I thought based on where we are today. I'm still hopeful and prayerful that somehow, some way, we'll find a miracle to not have to shut down at all. And I'm so optimistic, or so committed to that, I should say, that I'm going to stay at this table until somebody
try
shows
to
up.
undo it. You already told us what you think. Come on, Congressman.
It is what I think. But I can still hope.
Yes, you can. And we will talk to you next week.
Thank you, man.
Always. Congressman Troy Carter. Hey, in one sentence, is the government going to shut down? Yes. And then he comes back and says, no, I'm hoping we pull it together. Oh, tell me that. All right. Quick break. We'll close it out next. I don't even need to tell you. Send that to Palermo. Headline. Haldane, will the government shut down? And you can just GOV apostrophe T. Carter, yes. Yes. That's the Haldane, will the government shut down? Carter, yes. Of course, will the government shut down in quotes, and then yes in quotes as well. You want on the way back in, then I'll do my narrow adjust. All right. We're going to leave the news for the rest of the day because that was as clear as it could be.
Rouse's wants to help you cover the spread this football season. We're talking the ultimate tailgate spread. Party trays, dips, fried chicken, anything you want to throw on the grill, plus plenty of ice cold drinks to wash it all down. All you have to do is register now at talk1073.com for your chance to win. One winner will be chosen each week, and everyone who registers will be entered into a drawing for a grand prize of postseason tickets. Rouse's Markets, your tailgating headquarters.
Boy, speaking of covering the spread, I need to open up that DraftKings app and see if they're offering odds on whether the government's going to shut down.
Oh.
I mean, look, it's on public airwaves, so it's not inside information right there. Can I get down on that? No, there's tennis, there's soccer, there's NFL, there's college football. There's no Congress on my DraftKings app. Dang it. Let me remind you very quickly about the folks over at Neurojust. Neurojust.com is the website. If you suffer from anxiety or depression, or you have a loved one who does, Neurojust does something a little bit different. If the sit-down therapy hasn't been for you, if the prescription drugs, the antidepressants, whatever be coming your way, doesn't get the job done, or you're seeing diminishing returns or side effects, a treatment called TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. This is what Neurojust does. It is FDA approved. It is non-invasive. There are zero side effects to this. Basically, they put a little helmet on you, and it sends magnetic pulses into your brain that help where your brain regulates mood. So if you're constantly battling with anxiety or depression, you're constantly in that fight or flight mode, this helps that. This helps calm the seas inside your brain. They're located over on Bluebonnet. This is a procedure that is really sweeping the nation. We're actually lucky to have it here in Baton Rouge, and Neurojust are the ones that bring it to you. Neurojust.com. We don't have really enough time to get into a whole other topic here. I just wanted to kind of recap on what the congressman said right there, because yes, I've gotten your messages, I've gotten your DMs, I've already gotten your emails. I understand there was a lot of anger coming from the audience as he was talking. First and foremost, this was the biggest comment. If Donald Trump wants a shutdown, why are you giving him a shutdown? And the way the congressman explained it, I think the way he explained it was like he's going to get what he wants either way. That might not be a fair encapsulation. I got to go back and listen to it a second time, because you don't always hear it 100% clear when you're in the moment, because the conversation's still going on. But the other question I keep getting, and I'm going to have to follow up on this one, and good catch. If illegals aren't already getting Obamacare, why is that then a hill you want to die on? Which is another good question as well. I don't think necessarily, maybe for Congressman Carter or maybe for somebody else in Congress who's made a bigger stink about this. If they're already not getting Obamacare, why is this a hill you want to die on? It's a decent question. In the meanwhile, though, what we're going to see over the next couple days is going to be very telling. When the government shuts down, there's 22,000 federal government employees right here in Louisiana. When the federal government shuts down, this isn't a problem that affects Washington, D.C. It affects the entire nation. And like the congressman said, this is not like it's been in the past. We're not talking furloughs. We're talking layoffs. It's a different game altogether. We got to get out of here. Moon Griffon's next. Kill Meat's coming up at 11. All right, guys, I got to bounce. I will see y'all tomorrow.